views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Open BXRx, BronxNet special coverage providing you the latest information, resources, services, and community efforts taking place locally here in the Bronx and virtually during the pandemic. I'm your host, Sonyi Lopez, and today is Tuesday, December 29th. Coming up, we'll learn how you can get access to the food you need through the Get Food NYC program. Then, a second round of stimulus checks are coming your way. We'll learn how some viewers feel about it, and we'll also share the latest COVID-19 testing and vaccine updates with a few stories by our BronxNet reporters. After that, Taste of the Bronx is a subscription box, pop-up shop, and soon-to-be brick-and-mortar cafe. We'll discuss the upcoming Taste of the Bronx Cafe coming to the South Bronx. And community fridges like Mott Haven Fridge have continued to provide 24-hour access to food for all. They recently got a new location. Stay tuned to learn more. So please, stick around. Open BXRx starts now. Welcome to Open BXRx on BronxNet. I'm your host, Sonyi Lopez, inviting you to get social with us at BronxNet TV on Instagram and Twitter, and BronxNet Community Television on Facebook. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the city has ensured that all New Yorkers have access to free meals through their Get Food NYC COVID-19 emergency food program. Joining us now to tell us more about the program and how you can sign up is Kate MacKenzie, Director of the Mayor's Office of Food Policy. Welcome, Kate. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak with you.
Of course, thank you. So first, Kate, can you tell us about Get Food NYC and any other food resources available for families via the mayor's office?
Absolutely. Certainly, as a result of the pandemic, the mayor has made it a priority to ensure that no New Yorker needs to experience hunger, and to help support people to stay home and really adhere to social distancing, and particularly, people who are very vulnerable. We've launched Get Food NYC. And so since March, this program has been available to New Yorkers who do not have anyone to get meals for them, and who can't afford private delivery services. So by calling 311 or going to nyc.gov/getfood, New Yorkers can enroll to have meals delivered to their home. And these are certainly culturally appropriate. We have a wonderful selection of kosher and halal and vegetarian options, and even sort of culturally driven food choices if you are in need of, particularly Latin or other Asian influenced meals. So I really want to underscore that anyone who does not have the ability to get food on their own and cannot afford private delivery services, the city is here for you. Beyond that, I also really want to draw attention to the schools. There are more than 260 community meal hubs that are serving adults across the city. And for those students and families who are participating in remote and blended learning, there's more than 1,100 schools that are serving meals between the hours of 9 and 12, Mondays through Fridays. All of those locations can be found at nyc.gov/getfood. And once again, those no questions asked, and particularly those community sites that are open between 3 and 5, Monday through Friday. Those are some great options for people to be able to access food. I really want to shout out in particular to many of the food pantries in the Bronx. This is the network of soup kitchens and food pantries that serve New Yorkers, at all times, and in particularly during the pandemic. Really appreciate the extraordinary efforts of those food pantries. Again, those locations can also be found on that map at nyc.gov/getfood.
Thank you so much, Kate. Can we discuss the food insecurity that has ravished New York City and the Bronx in particular? Prior to the pandemic, the South Bronx already had the highest rate of food insecurity in the country at 37%, compared with 16.6 for New York City as a whole. How has the pandemic exacerbated these rates, and how has this program also helped these families in need?
Sure. You know, it's really important. And I also just want to dig into that word of food insecurity, because it's a kind of a clunky, odd word. But essentially, it just means that people don't always know where their next meal is going to come from. So it could be, a mother who is skimping on her own meals to ensure that her kids get fed, right? Or just that uneasy feeling of not knowing if your dollars are going to stretch you to the end of the month. So certainly with unemployment and just all of the economic challenges that so many New Yorkers are faced with, food insecurity has risen quite a bit. And we know, what we know is that where food insecurity was high pre-pandemic, it's even higher now, right? And so yes, the South Bronx was a particularly felt this, in a really important way, but also other parts of the Bronx are also struggling as well. And so, we know, and it's good news that was just passed last night out of Washington, that there is some form of relief coming. It's not enough. It's a little, the last time New Yorkers, or any American for that matter, saw some benefits in the form of relief was back in April. But we know also that just food alone is not the fix, right? Food insecurity results because wages are too low and people are not making enough money. So what we're doing, what the city is doing, is certainly supporting for those strong benefit relief programs, but we're also making sure through Get Food, through standing up these operations in partnership with the schools, that people have food right now when they need it.
Okay, let's say someone is listening right now and learning about the Get Food NYC program, and they don't know if they qualify for it. You said anyone qualifies for it, but let's just, and emphasize that. Is it for everyone?
Sure.
And do you need to apply? How can you apply?
Sure. The program is designed for people that do not have anyone who can get meals for them and cannot afford private delivery services. So when you go to nyc.gov/getfood, you'll be able to sign up and click a button, or call 311, and you'll be facilitated through these questions also. If people don't have someone to get meals for them, or if they cannot afford private delivery services, they will get meals delivered to them, 6 meals at a time, intended to be 2 meals a day for 3 days, and then another box, prepared meals will arrive. And you'll receive those meals for 2 weeks, and then have the option to re-enroll for additional meals. We know that sometimes, New York is a city of neighbors helping neighbors. And particularly when it comes to food, people have been doing grocery shopping for their elderly neighbors or otherwise homebound neighbors. And that's terrific, right? We want to make sure that we're helping out people as much as we possibly can. So maybe the person who's been helping a neighbor is not available to do that for a few weeks. Get Food is here for those individuals. Or, for the long haul. There have been many people. We're still serving about 75,000 people every day with meals. And we'll continue to do that for as long as the pandemic is here.
Thank you, Kate. And can we also emphasize on the importance of ensuring that these meals go to families in need and not wasted? I've seen often that the boxes may go to waste. Someone may pick them up and not really need it for their family. Can we discuss that as well?
Absolutely. It's such an important point to make sure that, certainly food is not going to waste. One of the things that those examples that you mentioned, we are such a dense city with lots of very, tall apartment buildings, and the drivers who deliver the food are required to deliver those to the door.
Right.
So over the last several months, we've worked through a number of kinks, like making sure that drivers can call in advance to make sure that the delivery is that someone is there to receive the delivery, or that a building knows to let the driver in. So I also really want to underscore the importance of accurate information, right? So if it's a cell phone number, or, a door, buzzer, making sure that there's instructions for how to deliver those meals. We want to make sure ultimately that they're getting to the home and to the individual that needs them. We also, I'll say, at the height of the pandemic, we're delivering 9 meals at a time. So 3 meals a day for 3 days.
Mm.
And actually, through very important feedback that we take very seriously from participants, did hear that it was actually too many meals. So currently we scaled that back to ensure that we get now 2 meals a day rather than 3 meals a day. So those are all in certain, efforts to make sure that we're not contributing to any unnecessary food waste. And I really appreciate you raising that. I also should underscore that all of these meals provided through Get Food are approved, have very strict nutrition standards. That's of course incredibly important to me as the director of the Mayor's Office of Food Policy, and certainly to all of the programs that the city operates when it comes to food. Upholding really strong nutrition standards is important.
Right. Thank you, Kate. And I know that you brought up that there are culturally relevant items in these food boxes. When people sign up for them, can they, check off a box? I want a kosher meal. My family wants a halal meal. And what kind of items come in these boxes? Are they perishable, non-perishable items, or just meals prepared?
Yep, thank you for that question. And absolutely, we do offer choice for people to sign up to ensure that they get the most appropriate meal for them. There's also, in those nutrition standards, we ensure diversity of different food types, right? So, every meal is either fresh or frozen to be reheated in an individual's home, to ensure that there is that diversity of, protein options and fruits and vegetables and things like that.
Thank you. Kate MacKenzie is the director of the Mayor's Office of Food Policy. Thank you so much again, Kate, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
To learn more about the Get Food NYC program and to sign up, you can call 311 or visit nyc.gov/getfood. Anyone who needs food at this time is qualified for this program. So please visit the website nyc.gov/getfood. We'll be right back.
We know that people are dealing with the health crisis, but there's also a lot of food insecurity.
We're giving out healthy food options, and that's what's key here.
If you're a senior, you have a disability, they'll actually deliver meals to you.
The residents are anxious, they're worried, they're scared, they want to be tested.
When things were happening in our community, and we couldn't get the help.
There's almost a presumption of criminality that attaches to your skin color.
The site will prioritize those who are at highest risk in the population.
If you feel symptoms and you'd like to visit one of these COVID-19 testing sites here in the Bronx, you may call the State Health Department's hotline.
Important to note about this site is no reservations are needed. This is a walk-in clinic.
A lot of us are out of work and looking for something to do.
We have the machinery and the skills to make large scales of these masks and gowns.
Take care of your people. It's going to go way further than we actually can understand.
Right now, employees like myself are just adjusting to the new reality.
Reporting from BronxNet, this is Charlotte Alvarez.
Welcome back. More than 9 months into the pandemic, congressional leaders have finally reached an agreement on a second COVID-19 economic relief package. Legislation includes $600 checks for many Americans, $300 a week in extra unemployment aid, renewed aid for small businesses, and funding for vaccine distribution. Is $600 enough? We asked people from the Bronx and beyond to share how they feel about the upcoming stimulus checks.
In my honest opinion, I don't think $600 is enough for anything. You can't pay your rent, let alone get food. You know, the Christmas holiday is here. They want us to spend money on getting things for our loved ones. But, you know, it's hard with us only expected to get a certain amount of money. And then they don't necessarily differentiate who is and who isn't going to get the money, because I'm sure people who are employed are going to be getting this money as well. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily, the pandemic necessarily didn't affect people who didn't stop working. I don't want to say they don't need it, but, you know, there's a lot more people that are less fortunate and have lost jobs and have a lot of things going on in their life where they value every penny, every dollar, and, you know, they didn't really create a system of value and, you know, who's going to get this over the next. So I really think it's tough to, you know, actually figure out something, but $600 is not enough.
I feel incredibly frustrated, unprioritized, disappointed, let down, and most of all, disrespected in the highest form possible financially with the government and their relief package. I don't understand what $600 would really be relieving people of. What I'm going to be doing with my $600 is just paying my credit card bills, and that's where it goes. And if it doesn't go there, it's going to go towards my light bills for the next 2 months, or even the next month. Who knows? I work from home. I have a whole family of 5 here, and taking on so many responsibilities now that I just have to be adapted to because of COVID. $600 doesn't do anything, especially in a whole year. It's a huge slap in the face, knowing that the government has so much money.
I think that the COVID-19 bill is honestly an insult to the people of this country, and it shows that our representatives do not have any sort of connection with what their constituents are living in and day out. $600 is obviously not enough for anybody living in this country. It doesn't even cover the median rent in the cheapest states in this country. And if you were to look at any country on the same level as well as the United States, they have done far more for their citizens and constituents than we have.
So I think the $600 COVID relief bill that was passed, the stimulus package, I'm happy that it has been passed. However, keep in mind that when we hear from the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi that this is a first step, this will be split into 2 bills. It's one of those things where we say, great, we're happy to have it. A lot of people are happy to have it. However, this took entirely too long. And when we factor in the amount in terms of the salary for our senators and our congresspeople, it comes to the point where you're saying, wow, I really wish we could afford lobbyists. We really do need lobbyists for our own interests, effectively to survive. That's our main interest. Because $600 to combat the amount of back rent and as well as purchasing of food, just surviving is, yeah, it's egregious. It's terrible. It's not enough.
I personally believe a $600 a direct payment is not enough to support and feed a family. I believe also Congress has failed their people and their country. A lot of people suffering. A lot of people losing their job. A lot of people going hungry. This is not the right support.
I'm not too excited about the stimulus package, the new announced plan for the package. I don't think that's going to be much help to any families out there. I don't think that's enough money to really take care of anything. I don't think that eases anybody's mind that's unemployed. It's kind of really tough to deal with, you know, but after the first one and then not getting one for so many months, I don't think anybody's thinking this is going to completely change the situation, but hopefully maybe there's somebody out there that it does help. You know, $600. It'll cover groceries for the next month, couple weeks maybe. but I don't think it's something that's really helpful or fair. It's hard to look at, especially, you know, when you have the internet, you see all these other countries that were way better taken care of than we were. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but from the Bronx, we get through it. We're gonna find a way, make use of what we got.
$600 from your 116th Congress. That's 535 voting members. $600. That's about 2 weeks on minimum wage. And that's if you're working full time. What do I think? I think it's the biggest betrayal since Southern secession. The fact that we have millions and millions of Americans here that can't afford to pay rent. Small businesses that don't know how they're going to survive. Many here in New York are disappearing. A lot of places that, you know, we've come to love have disappeared. And $600, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's a betrayal to the American people.
Truthfully, I feel like it should have focused on reopening our economy and getting Americans, specifically employees from small, independently owned businesses, back to work because they've been feeling it the most throughout this whole entire pandemic, which is very unfortunate. Also, the $600 stimulus check, it's just ridiculous. What could you do with that money? Obviously nothing. So it's very unfortunate.
Have you gotten tested for coronavirus? Or have you heard that it's painful? And COVID-19 vaccines have arrived in New York City. Our BronxNet reporters have these stories, updates, and more just for you.
Living in New York City during COVID-19 means that you'll probably see lines wrapped around the block at many of the city MDs. But places like SN Healthcare here in the Bronx are empty.
City MD lines have been wrapped around the block for months as New Yorkers rush to get a COVID PCR test or COVID antibody test for the holidays. Yet some New Yorkers remain hesitant to get tested. After I shared a post on social media asking people to explain some of their misconceptions preventing them from getting a COVID test, the number one response I received was that they heard it was painful and they don't want any parts.
It's usually a tolerable exam. It does feel like you're almost like getting stimulated to sneeze, or like I like to tell my patients, like you're almost gonna get your brain tickled a little bit.
Dr. Goris from SN Healthcare says that getting a COVID test is similar to sneezing, and if administered correctly, there shouldn't be any pain. He notes that if a patient is fearful of getting the antigen test, there's also a COVID saliva PCR test, which is one less evasive option that many have opted in for. In an effort to address if a COVID-19 test is painful or not, I figured there's no better way than to get tested, but on camera. SN Healthcare's Dr. Alexandre administered my COVID-19 antigen test and walked me through each step.
This is what's going to go in the nose, and I'm going to have to use both nostrils. And the sample will be going in here, and we'll send this to the lab. I've heard, this tickles. I've heard this, this can trigger you to have some water in your eyes. It can trigger a sneeze. But I haven't heard anyone to say, this was painful. I haven't heard that yet.
The entire testing process took less than 7 seconds. No pain, and at the height of the discomfort, it felt like I had to sneeze.
Dr. Gores and Dr. Alexandre said that you should get tested as often as you can to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
It's good to get tested because if you're healthy and you don't have much symptoms, you can end up giving it to somebody else. You can just end up just spreading it to so many other people with comorbidities.
As of this week, 4,000 New Yorkers have been vaccinated with Pfizer's vaccination, and another shipment of 346,000 vaccines from Moderna is expected to arrive in New York by December 22. As essential healthcare workers, both doctors will take the vaccine, but stress the importance for the general public to continue to get tested for COVID-19 during this time. Reporting for BronxNet, Darissa White.
It's been 48 hours since the vaccine arrived in the city, and over 1,600 healthcare workers have been vaccinated. Wednesday morning, Mayor de Blasio visited Elmhurst Hospital and witnessed William Kelly and Veronica Delgado be the first healthcare workers at the hospital to get their COVID-19 vaccinations. The two were also the very first to receive vaccinations in New York City's public hospital system. The mayor thanked all healthcare workers at Elmhurst, which was once the epicenter of the pandemic.
We're celebrating such an important moment here. The first ever vaccination at a New York City public hospital. And there's no more fitting place than here. This is the place where it should be, because this is the heroic place. I will tell you for the rest of my life, when I hear the words Elmhurst Hospital, I'm going to think of heroes, and I'm going to think of a battle that was fought and won.
The city's public hospitals have consistently struggled with federal funding. According to a 2016 article by the New York Times, it notes that the hospitals were once on the brink of a financial crisis. With the $2 billion subsidies in 2016, Elmhurst and many other public hospitals were able to contribute to the vulnerable populations when the virus spiked.
For a long time, HHC, then Health and Hospitals, were ignored in this city. They were too often put down, too often starved of funding. Several years ago, before we ever heard the word coronavirus, we made a decision to invest in H&H, billions of dollars, to make sure our public health care system was strong. We made a decision that the future of New York City depended on H&H.
Mayor de Blasio also warned that the city may be impending another shutdown of non-essential businesses, similar to the one issued in March as the daily COVID indicators increase. The decision is left to Governor Cuomo, who has also hinted such a measure might be necessary. Reporting for BronxNet, Ashley Tiffany.
It's that time of year again. New Yorkers are now entering the midst of flu season as we approach winter. Specialist on infectious diseases for Essen Healthcare, Dr. Mana Rao, explains why the flu spreads easily during colder months.
There used to be this misconception that the winter causes the flu, but that's unfortunately not true. People spend a lot more time indoors with the doors and windows closed, and there's a lot of recirculated air which they breathe. And so if someone's harboring the virus or if someone's sick, there is a greater potential for transmission.
A similar pattern is shown with COVID-19. As the CDC reports, it's likely that flu viruses and the viruses that cause COVID-19 will both spread this fall and winter. While the city waits for the COVID-19 vaccine set to release this month, health providers and city officials are urging New Yorkers to sign up for the flu vaccine. Dr. Rao explains why the flu vaccine is critical, especially this time of year.
For the reason we want people, and we push rather for them to get the influenza vaccination is because, as I said previously, the two can occur together. And we don't know if the co-infection of SARS-CoV-2 and influenza can be potentially more severe than either of them alone.
At the start of the pandemic, there were many misconceptions about COVID-19 and the flu. During this year's flu season, it may be hard to tell the difference between the two viruses, as both are contagious respiratory illnesses with clinical features that can overlap. Dr. Rao points out these key features to note when differentiating the two viruses.
Influenza, while it can be severe, can also cause mild to moderate disease in a number of individuals. COVID can tend to be more severe, as we know, in those who are above, 65 years of age, those with certain medical conditions, and those individuals who have a compromised immune system.
Both viruses also share many of the same symptoms. Some include fever, chills, cough, and shortness of breath. However, there is a major differentiating symptom to look out for.
SARS-CoV-2 virus, which causes COVID, can lead to a loss of taste as well as smell sensation, which we haven't seen with influenza thus far.
At the moment, Dr. Rao believes there isn't enough evidence to fully determine how flu season will react in the wake of COVID. In the meantime, many health professionals encourage everyone to practice these preventative measures to keep their family safe this season.
Wearing a mask, which is universal source control, frequent hand washing, either with soap and water or alcohol-based hand rubs, social distancing, and avoiding large gatherings, getting your flu shot.
To learn more about the flu and COVID-19, visit the CDC link below. Reporting for BronxNet, Kim and Ali.
Welcome back. A new community-focused cafe is set to come to the South Bronx sometime next year. The Taste of the Bronx Cafe will be located at La Central, the new affordable housing development in Melrose at the Hub. Joining us now to share more are Taste of the Bronx partners, Rebecca Scott, Anthony Ramirez II, and Paul Ramirez. Welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So to start off, just tell us a little bit about Taste of the Bronx and your mission.
Why don't I jump in? So Taste of the Bronx aims to raise awareness and drive revenue to Bronx small businesses. And traditionally, we've done that through a few different channels. We do subscription boxes that have different themes each quarter and feature a variety of Bronx brands. We also used to do monthly pop-up markets prior to COVID, where every month we'd partner with a different Bronx institution and host an array of Bronx businesses. And now we're expanding to a third channel, which is the Taste of the Bronx Cafe, and we're super excited.
And that's amazing. Thank you so much, Rebecca, and congratulations to you guys for the new cafe coming to La Central next year. What can people expect to see at this new cafe in the South Bronx?
I'll jump in on this one. We are currently in the process of, designing the space. But we know that first and foremost, it'll be a beautifully decorated location in the center of the South Bronx, moments away from the hub and lots and lots of public transportation. We plan to have So we're going to have one year-round menu that's curated by us that features a healthy spin on local favorites. And we also will be renting, half of the space will be for up-and-coming Bronx-based businesses. So folks who have an idea, who have a product, but really want the opportunity to test it out and see how the audience responds, we'll be able to rent the location in 3-month increments. So we'll have 4 different vendors throughout the year.
Sounds exciting. And, we're in the middle of a pandemic and you guys are planning all of this in the middle of COVID-19 and all that's going on. You each have your own work happening. Rebecca with Sustainable Snacks, Anthony and Paul with the Bronx Beer Hall, and your other ventures that you have. You guys are super busy all the time. But have you had any challenges while pursuing this new venture during the pandemic and preparing to open in the coming year? Can you share with us any challenges that you faced?
It definitely seems like kind of a crazy time to sign a lease. That said, we've all embraced the fact that we're crazy partners and we're so excited about the model and know that we'll be able to make things work despite the times. I would say it's been interesting in terms of the funding climate because a lot of different resources have been created, but for pre-existing businesses. And though Taste of the Bronx is already existing, the cafe is a new arm to that. And so there's been a bit of a kind of gray space for us looking for funding.
Yeah, I think that that's very nice. We're all smiling and laughing when we talk about it because it is a little crazy to open up a space, especially a space where we expect people to, we would hope people gather and come and meet their friends and hang out. Obviously, that won't be happening until COVID passes and probably late into next year or early 2022 when people will actually be gathering more frequently. So I think the challenge was kind of between the 3 of us looking at each other and saying, we wanted to do this, pandemic or no pandemic, this was always something that was on our roadmap. And do we put it off or do we just go for it? And it just, this opportunity seemed ideal. It was very much in line with the work that we've been doing in a location that we really, really wanted to be in. And, we signed the lease. That's all I got to say. I'm smiling because we signed the lease. We talked about it. Are we signing the lease? Yeah, we're going to sign the lease.
I love it. I love how crazy you guys are, though. And we have Paul. I know that the viewers are probably wondering, like, where is he? What is he doing? He's at the Bronx Beer Hall. He's working right now. So thank you for still joining us. And I want to loop you in, Paul. What are your hopes collectively for the new cafe, and how will both the community and entrepreneurs benefit from having Taste of the Bronx accessible in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx now?
Ooh, the loaded question.
Good one.
So our family's born and raised South Bronx. When our grandparents came over from Puerto Rico, they settled 156 to 163rd between St. Anne's and Tinton. So for us, that's really the heart of the Bronx. 149th and the Hub is the essence of what BX is. And it's how we know it. So it's a big move. It's a proud moment for us to set up shop in that area, but I think that the area itself, we know that it needs more, and we're proud to be part of it. We're going to offer healthy options, we're going to offer a community space, things that we don't think currently exist over on that side of the hub.
Right. Authentic neighbors coming through to the Bronx, and like, you guys are already from here, so I'm glad that this space is being allocated to someone who is already established in the community, and is you guys are very esteemed in the community as well, so super excited about that. Rebecca, did you want to add on to that as well? I saw that you almost said something.
Sorry to talk over you. I was just going to add on that once it's safe to do so, community programming is a big part of our plan. So we'll have game nights, nutrition education programming, even poetry readings. So we really hope to create an inclusive, accessible space for people in the neighborhood to come out and hang. And we'll also merchandise our brand partners' products. So in addition to the food piece, we'll also have brick and mortar space where we can sell the products of our other Bronx business partners.
Amazing. Anthony, did you want to add?
I mean, with three people, we all have so much to say. We're all on brand, and I love it. But yeah, in addition to all of that, it's important also because years ago, and not to date myself, but maybe about 15 or 20 years ago now, I used to work over on Bergen and 149, and it was always have a place to have a meeting or, to get something outside of the normal Cuchifrito or something like that, or the McDonald's in the corner. And so, it's important for us too to expand the options that are available to people in the community over there.
Right, like where can you really congregate, at VIM or at Bergen Discount? Like, where are you going?
Right, exactly. And you're not sitting at that Starbucks because they got rid of chairs over there. So
So now you're gonna have Taste of the Bronx right down the block, and that's amazing. So let's also talk about the Taste of the Bronx subscription box. What are the boxes, and what can people find in one of these boxes this season? How can people order them? And will they be available past the Christmas deadline? Because I know this is also airing after Christmas. So
I actually have a box right here in front of me because there are about 100 going out momentarily, I will say. So the holiday box actually will not be available past the end of December. This is, we change the box every quarter. I can tell you that within this holiday box, and I'll show you while I go through it, we are featuring Desmond Designs. So you have a holiday decoration from Desmond Designs. He is and I'm going to say this wrong, I'm sure, pyrographer. So basically, he's a wood artist, and he burns wood and creates his art. We have Smoky Maple Pecans by Sustainable Snacks. And they accompany a recipe for harvest salad. And I'll let Rebecca talk a little bit about that if she wants before I go to the next one.
Sure. They're locally roasted pecans with maple syrup and an artisan smoky spice blend. And we created a seasonal salad that has different root vegetables and a maple dressing. So
that sounds amazing, delicious. Whoever got their hands on this box, and Anthony's not even done yet.
I'm not even done yet.
Really, really lucky. Let's see.
Salad is your starter, and you can end with this, right? We have a sea salt chocolate chip cookie mix by Delore Cakery. So they are a 5-star artisan cake catering company in the Bronx. And, it says you can make about 10 to 12 cookies, but I'll tell you right now, I've probably made 24 so far. I guess it depends on the size you go with. All right. But this is great. Something great is when if you're trapped in your house with family, not trapped, but in your house with family, then this is something you can do, for the holidays. We also have a bookmark by From the Bronx, which happens to match my background a little bit today. So I'm sure a lot of us are doing reading at home, and if it's not always on a Kindle or an iPad, it's nice to have a book in your hands. We do have some hand sanitizer by Pitoro, and this is again very, very topical for our current climate. I don't have a copy of it in front of me, but we have El Bronx Remembered, which is a book by Nicholas Moore. And that was printed. It's about the Bronx in its heyday from 1946 to 1956. It'll go well with the bookmark. And last but not least, there is a surprise item by one of our past Taste of the Bronx vendors, and that item varies by box. So some people are getting oven mitts, some people are getting barbecue sauce. I mean, we've had over 150 vendors over the past year and a half in operation, almost 2 years, I think. And so we're just highlighting, trying to make it exciting, because the holidays are all about, being surprised and when you get your gift. So every box will have a different item in it.
And I'm guessing that people can purchase these boxes in person at the Taste of the Bronx Cafe once that's open as well.
Yes. Once the box is open, we'll have the box available for purchase. Currently, it's available on a subscription basis. You can order either one box, you can do a half-year subscription, which is 2 boxes, or a full-year subscription, which is 4 boxes. And the longer your subscription is, the more money you save.
Perfect. And where can people go to sign up to subscribe and to learn more about Taste of the Bronx before we go?
To learn more about Taste of the Bronx, you can visit us online at tasteofthebronx.com and follow our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Taste of the Bronx.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anthony, Paul, and Rebecca, for joining us today. And thanks for your time. Paul is over there pouring some beer and growlers at the Bronx Beer Hall. So thanks to him as well for joining us, even through work. So again, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. Happy holidays.
Likewise. Be safe and Happy New Year.
At some point in the new year.
Yes, and I live right down the block, so I'll be visiting Taste of the Bronx Cafe very frequently. I live right down the block.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Again, the Taste of the Bronx Cafe will be arriving in Mott Haven very soon. You can follow at Taste of the Bronx on Instagram and any social media, and you can also visit tasteofthebronx.com to find out more and stay in touch. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The Bronx continues to lead in the number of food insecure individuals and families, but for many families in need, a network of community refrigerators have been accessible at all hours of the day and community-driven and judgment-free throughout the pandemic. There are more than 70 fridges spread throughout New York City, and an estimated 12 of those are here in the Bronx, including the Mott Haven Fridge and a new sister fridge, the Mott Haven Fridge 2. Joining us now to share more is Charlotte Alvarez, co-organizer at the Mott Haven Fridge. Charlotte is also an educator here in the Bronx. Hi, Charlotte. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know you're no stranger to BronxNet, but just for those who are tuning in who may not be familiar, can you just tell us a little bit about Mott Haven Fridge and your mission in the Bronx?
Yeah, so I am a teacher in the South Bronx. So I, along with my colleague, Dan, who's also a teacher at my school, we just saw that during the pandemic, we had like an interview with our families, and the results told us that 1 in 4 of our families were actually, they had to diminish the amount of food that they ate per week because of they lost jobs, or just access to food was more limited. So we were just deeply concerned about this for the students that we teach. And we noticed that community fridges were popping up, and we decided that we really needed one in our community. So, our main focus right now is to get groceries in a consistent manner for families to be able to access in our community. Not just for our students, but also the whole Mott Haven community.
Thank you,
And so we're hoping to expand that and, keep growing the network so that we can feed more families.
Absolutely. Thank you, Charlotte. And it has definitely grown. We've seen that Mott Haven Fridge has become a community hub center for the community. People really, really esteem the fridge, take care of it, clean it on their own, and volunteer their time and their efforts to taking care of this fridge. So, shout outs to you and Dan for spearheading this initiative, and shout outs to the community in Mott Haven for the solidarity with the fridge. I also wanted to bring up that you have a sister fridge now in another location at Crismelli Grocery. Can you tell us about Mott Haven Fridge 2 and how you connected with the business owner there to bring the fridge to that area?
Yeah, that was such a kind of by chance luck. There's another community fridge called Nuestra Nevera not far from where we are. And the lady that helps run that saw that one of her neighbors was about to throw out a refrigerator. And luckily, we've just built such a network of volunteers that we were like, yeah, we definitely can take on another fridge. And it's located on 140th and Brook Ave, which is right about 2 blocks from our Mott Haven Fridge 1. And we chose that location because one of our students, one of our 6th graders, their dad owns the local bodega. So he was he's heard a lot about our initiative through, our students are really engaged in our refrigerator and are super excited about it. And so a lot of them have spoken to their parents about it. And we're really lucky to have that connection to the community. And so he was really happy to take it on. Because that's like one of the biggest things, like not only do we need a host, but we need a host that is willing and excited to have the fridge, because it's a big undertaking and it's, it's completely volunteer. So it's really nice to have someone that's super involved in the community and really excited to have it.
I love that. And Charlotte, is the first fridge still located at Chiqui's grocery store on St. Anne's as well?
So we actually had to move it. Management changed at some point, and new management didn't want the fridge there. But thankfully, because, and that was, we were really concerned when that came about, because we only had 2 days initially to move the refrigerator. But because we've been able to cultivate such a strong kind of team of volunteers and people involved in the Mott Haven Fridge, we were able to extend that time. And then also someone heard about us on the Deez's and Marrow on their Instagram. And so her uncle actually owns the store right around the corner from where we were currently located. And she was able to secure us a new location, a new hosting space. So that was really helpful because we didn't have to completely change the crew of volunteers that we rely on. So we had to move to a completely different location. We were just really worried about how we were going to continue to run.
Wow. And it's all been word of mouth, volunteer based. As we stated in the beginning, nobody gets paid to do this. Again, this is all the community coming together through donations as well. Just remind us of the impact that the fridge has had on the community and what the volunteers mean to this community fridge as well, Charlotte.
So the volunteers are completely our lifeline. Like, we helped start it, but we would be nowhere without the people that help to clean the fridge daily, bring the food daily. Like, we have drivers that collect the food and then bring it to the refrigerator, and then people who help stock the fridge. And then we have some volunteers that live around the neighborhood and are constantly by the refrigerator. So whenever we get new shipments, they make sure that it's that people come in an organized way to collect the food so that it's evenly distributed and everyone has a chance, because the need is so high that when we do get deliveries, like, food does not last long. As soon as someone sees the truck, you know, they get what they need. So we really need the volunteers that we have to kind of make sure that that runs smoothly. Because while I live in the Bronx, I don't live really close to the refrigerator.
And at this moment, are you guys looking for more volunteers? How can people find out how they can support you, and what type of volunteers are you seeking to help out?
We definitely need more volunteers. Our biggest need are drivers, people with cars that are able to have flexibility to pick up shipments. Right now, we often have to go pick up from Queens, so it's really far. And, you know, gas tolls and all that, it costs money. So we definitely rely on the goodwill of people who are able to take that on. We also need people that just come and check in on it. Because food is being taken out and brought in so often, we need people that help clean it. Yeah, there's just a lot of need. So if you want to help, you can contact us via Instagram. We're very responsive to the direct messages that we get. So that's a great way to contact us right now. We also have an email, info@themothavenfridge.com.
Got you. Thank you, Charlotte. And the Instagram is @Mott Haven Fridge on social media. They are absolutely very responsive and always posting about the fridge. It's a beautiful Instagram that shows the community solidarity as well. Charlotte, can we just talk about the cold weather? You know, it's obviously here. It's really freezing outside now. We just had the snowfall. How are fridges being prepared to be sustainable during the winter season? And how are community fridges preparing for the winter in general?
Right. So the change in temperature definitely affects refrigerators because they're not meant to be kept outside. They're an indoor item. So when the temperature drops, the refrigerator can shut down. So we've been building winterization sheds. Each of the Mott Haven fridges has one currently, and that costs about $1,000 to build. Again, with the help of like people volunteering. That was just in raw materials. So the refrigerators across the Bronx are currently like working on building those sheds. A lot of them already have it, but a lot of them don't. Some of the precautions that they can take are just like to shut off the refrigerator when it hits a certain temperature. But again, we need consistent volunteers that are around and can like shut it off and shut it back on when necessary. So there are just a few things that people are doing depending on their budget. But yeah.
Got you. And Charlotte, how much food usually goes into the fridge and how often is it kept stocked? I know that you mentioned that the food goes quickly, but is it every day that people are stocking it, and how much food usually goes in it? And as well as what types of food? Is it non-perishable items, perishable items? What can people find there at the fridge?
Right. So what people can find at a community fridge depends on the fridge. There are certain fridges that don't accept like dairy and meat. Our refrigerator, we accept anything. We have partnerships with farms that there's an organization, Wrap for Bronx, that has been instrumental in helping us get fresh produce to our refrigerator. Our refrigerator currently gets stocked about 1 to 2 times a day. And we get, I would estimate about 200 pounds of food per day. And that we're lucky, we're on the high end because we've gotten so much, like, people know about us. So it's helped to get a lot more food to our refrigerator. But I think some other Bronx fridges can probably estimate more like 100 pounds of food per day. And yeah, so it runs 24/7 and I'm
And I can see the growth. You mentioned Deez's and Merrill, like, wow, that's amazing that, I did see, I think it was Deez's that posted about the fridge early on. And then he also helped when you guys were looking for a new area. He was very, very helpful with his platform. And I see the intention in the platform as well and how much it has grown. Before we go, Charlotte, can you just tell us where both of the fridges are located again so that anybody, who wants to go and donate or anyone who needs in Mott Haven can go and pick up any goods there? Just remind us of the 2 locations of the Mott Haven Fridge and Mott Haven Fridge 2.
So Mott Haven Fridge 1 is currently located on 141st Street. Between St. Anne's and I think Crimley Avenue. And Mott Haven Fridge 2 is located on 140th Street and Brook Avenue.
Got you. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for your time again. And say hi to Dan for me. I'll see you guys around the neighborhood. I live here and you've seen me before as well. So take care and thank you so much for the work you've been doing.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great one.
You too. Again, you can follow at Mott Haven Fridge on social media. And to see a map of other fridges near you, visit the link below. It's bit.ly/37HPZLP. I know it's a super long link, but we shortened it in order to help you access it a little easier. That's all for our show today. My co-producer, Franchesca Feliz, and our production assistant, Rebecca Hemick, want to collectively thank you, the viewer, for sticking with us as we continue to bring you important information through this trying year. I'm your host, Sonyi Lopez, wishing you and your family safety and wellness now and always. Happy New Year. Let's keep working in solidarity here in the Bronx. Let's continue to wear a mask to bring in a hopeful 2021. See you all next year.